There is something about an old story told slowly that does something no sleep app or white noise machine can do. It gives your mind just enough to hold onto a garden wall, a warm candlelit room, a little duck on a dark stream, so that the rest of you can finally let go. Tonight, we are drifting through some of the most beloved stories ever written. Peter Rabbit, Alice, the Velveteen Rabbit, the Ugly Duckling, and more, all woven together into one long, slow, sleepy world built entirely for your rest. Before you drift off, drop the time in the comments. Are you watching at midnight, 2 a.m.? Or are you one of those rare souls sneaking this in before an afternoon nap? I love seeing where in the world people are when they find this video. And if this is your first time here, the story is just getting started, and it is going to take you somewhere very quiet and very warm. Stay with it. The secret to falling asleep has nothing to do with clearing your mind. In fact, the more you try to think of nothing, the louder everything gets. Tonight, your mind is going to travel. Not far, not fast. You are going to drift through some of the oldest, quietest stories ever told. Stories that have been passed down for over 100 years. You will visit a rabbit in a garden, a girl in a looking-glass world, a little duckling on a cold gray river, and a boy who loved a stuffed rabbit more than anything in the world. You do not have to remember. Close your eyes now, if they are not already closed. Let your body sink a little heavier into whatever is beneath you. There is nowhere else to be tonight. There is nothing else to do. This moment right here is the only moment there is. The garden is the first thing you notice. It is very old. The walls around it are made of brick, and the brick has been there so long that it has gone from red to a deep, dusty orange-pink, the color of a late afternoon sky in October. Thin lines of dark green moss grow between the bricks in long, slow threads. The mortar is crumbly at the edges and soft as chalk dust under a fingernail. The wall holds heat the way old stone always does, soaking it in during the day and giving it back slowly at night, like a breath held a long, long time before it is finally let go. It grows in soft, uneven tufts, slightly damp along the bottom where the sun has not quite reached. If you were to reach down and run your fingers through that grass, it would be cool and slightly wet at the roots and very, very still. There are roses here. They grow along the old wall in long trailing arches. Their thorns curved and dark like tiny sleeping moons. If you held one up to the sky, you might see the pale ghost of the light behind it. The smell of them is not sharp or bright. In the far corner of the garden, near the wall where the ivy has grown so thick it swallowed a whole iron hook years ago, there is a small brown rabbit. He is very still. He is crouched low in the grass with his front paws tucked under his chest and his eyes very bright and very calm. He is not afraid. He is simply watching the way the light moves through the leaves above him. He has been here so long that the garden has stopped noticing him, and he has stopped noticing where he ends and the garden begins. This is Peter Rabbit, though tonight he is older and slower and quieter than the stories usually tell. He has forgotten about Mr. McGregor's garden and the terrible rush through the cold, wet furrows. He has forgotten about his lost blue jacket with the brass buttons. Tonight, he is only warmth and stillness, and the soft sound of his own slow heartbeat pressed into the cool earth beneath him. He breathes out. Not far from where Peter rests, there is a wooden door set into the garden wall. It is very small and very old, and the wood has gone gray and soft as felt over many long winters. Heavy the way old metal is, with a round loop at one end worn smooth by the grip of many hands over many years. The wood has swollen, and the lock has shifted, and the whole door sits crooked in its frame, sealed by time and damp and the slow patience of ivy. Nobody uses it. Nobody needs to. The garden keeps itself now, and the door stands as a kind of memory, a reminder that something once came in and found a home and never needed to leave. It is the particular gold of late afternoon, the kind that arrives sideways through trees and falls in long, tilted columns full of slow-drifting particles, small as dust, each one spinning very gently on currents of air too soft to feel on your skin. You can see them best if you look at the space between the light and the shadow, at that exact edge where the warmth meets the cool. Far away, not in the garden, but somewhere beyond the high old wall. Somewhere past the lane and the hedgerow and the slow-moving stream, a wood pigeon is calling. It does not demand attention. It simply exists in the air, the way water exists in a glass, filling its space without effort and without noise. 3 slow notes, and then a pause. 3 slow notes, and then a pause. If you listened for a very long time, you might begin to lose track of where the sound ends and the silence begins, because they are made of the same stuff, sound and silence, just organized slightly differently. Now the light is beginning to change. This is the way it always happens, not all at once, not dramatically, but in the slowest possible increments, a dimming so gradual that you can never quite catch it happening. One moment the roses were pale gold, and the next they are a deeper, softer rose pink. And the shadows under the ivy have gone from gray to a blue, so deep it is almost purple. The rabbit does not move. The door does not move. The old key on its hook does not swing. There is a sound now, very faint, almost imagined the sound of water. Not a river, not exactly. Something smaller, running over smooth, round stones that have been rounded by the running of water for longer than anyone can say. The sound is cool and clean and absolutely continuous, without beginning and without end. The way water sounds when it has been running the same path for so long that the path itself has shaped to the sound. It is the most natural sound in the world. Your body knows it before your mind does. Somewhere in that cool stream, a small gray duckling is moving. He is not swimming exactly, more drifting than swimming, letting the slow current carry him where it wants to go. He is gray and slightly awkward, and his neck is too long for the rest of him, and his feet are too large, and he moves through the water with a kind of earnest. He does not know yet what he will become. He knows only the feeling of cold water along his sides, and the sound of the stream, and the pale sky above him, and the thin reeds on the bank, moving very gently in no wind at all. This is the Ugly Duckling, though that name never quite fit. He was never ugly. He was only unrecognized, which is a very different thing. He swims on in the last of the light, unbothered, unaware, carrying everything he will become inside him like a seed that has not yet opened. The stream is gentle here. The sky above the stream is the color of the inside of a shell, pale. The duckling drifts on. The star watches from its great, cold distance. The ceiling is low. The floorboards are wide and old and very slightly uneven, so that the candlelight from the single candle on the table shifts and pools differently in each plank. The smell in here is of old wool and beeswax and something very faintly, perhaps tucked into a drawer somewhere, its scent reduced by time to the softest possible memory of itself. On a bed in the corner, a narrow bed with a white quilt that has been washed so many times it has gone thin and soft as skin, a small boy is asleep. His hair is dark and slightly damp at his temples. His breathing is very slow and very even. One hand is open on the pillow beside his cheek, fingers just barely curled. The way hands go when the body trusts the night enough to let go of its grip. In the crook of his other arm, he holds a rabbit, a stuffed rabbit made of velveteen, once bright and spotless, now worn to a faded brownish pink by years of being held. Slightly darker, and the velvet of his ears has gone thin and bald at the tips from being held just there, in that exact spot, by that exact small hand. Night after night, he is not new. He is not pretty, not by the standards of the toy shop window, but he is loved in the way that changes things, in the way that makes a thing more itself rather than less. The candle flame does not flicker. The room is that still. It burns with a steady, absolute consistency, making its small, warm point of light without effort and without waver. The wax runs in a single slow thread down one side, thickening as it cools, hardening into a pale ridge against the white candle. The shadow of the rabbit stretches long and soft across the white quilt, a shadow that is somehow larger and more present than the rabbit itself. If you catch it at the right angle, almost exactly like a real rabbit, ears and all. The boy breathes in, out, in. His chest rises slowly and falls slowly, and the quilt over him rises and falls with it. A motion so small and so continuable from stillness. The rabbit, held in the loose circle of the boy's arm, breathes with him, or seems to. It is impossible to be sure. The room is very warm and very quiet, and the candle is very steady, and the whole world has narrowed down to this one small place and this one slow rhythm. Outside the window of that room, the night is very deep. There is no moon visible, but there is a quality to the darkness that suggests the moon is up there somewhere behind the thick. They are the slow, round, layered kind, the kind that look as though they have always been there and will always be there, patient and gray and full of the promise of rain that may or may not arrive before morning. The air outside is cool and still and carries the smell nearby. And in that soft, wet earth's smelling darkness, there is a garden different from the first one, a wild garden, tangled and secret, overgrown by years of being left alone. The iron gate is rusted open at an angle, frozen in its half-open position by a decade of weather, and the vines have grown up through the bars in thick, ropey spirals, tying the gate to the wall as surely as any lock. But if you walk very slowly along that faint ghost of a path, past the crowding weeds and under the arch of an old rose cane, gone gray and leafless and apparently dead, and if you crouch very low and look at the very base of things, very close to the soil, you will find small green shoots, the thinnest, most tentative, most hopeful green. Hair-fine threads of new growth pushing up through the cold and dark earth with a patience that is almost hard to believe, a patience that has been building silently all winter and no acknowledgement, simply because growing is what they do it. The earth in this garden is dark and damp and cold. If you pressed your palm flat against it, you would feel the cold seep through your skin very quickly. Not an unpleasant cold, not the kind that hurts, but the deep mineral cold of things that live underground, of roots and stones and the slow processes that have nothing to do with human time. The smell of it is rich and complex and old. A smell that has layers, the way old books have layers, the way rooms that have been lived in for a long time have layers. Something sweet underneath and something green and alive threading through the middle of it all. High in the bare branches of a tree, at the center of the secret garden, a robin sits. He is very small and very round, the way robins are in winter when they puff their feathers out to hold the warmth close to their skin. His chest is the exact red of old brick, the dark, warm red, and it glows even in the dim light, the way a coal glows, not brightly, from the inside out. He has been sitting in this tree for quite some time. He is watching the garden the way the garden has always needed to be watched, patiently, without judgment, without any desire for the garden to be other than what it is. He does not sing. This is not the time for singing. This is the time for being very still and very present and letting the garden know that someone is paying attention. The branch under his feet is the width of a large thumb, and it bends very slightly under his tiny weight and then springs back, bends slightly, springs back, a motion as small and rhythmic as a pulse. The bark under his feet is cold and rough and dusted with the finest possible coating of gray-green lichen, softer than velvet, older than everything else in the garden. The night has a quality of absolute windlessness, the kind that feels less like an absence of wind and more like a decision, as if the air agreed to hold still and is holding still with intent. The branches of the trees do not move. The dead stalks of last year's plants do not move. The rusted gate in its half-open position does not move. Somewhere very far away from the garden, farther than a walk and closer than a thought, a girl is falling. She has been falling for a very long time, long enough that falling has started to feel like resting, and she is not afraid. The walls around her, as she falls, are lined with shelves, and the shelves are lined with jars and books and small framed pictures and things she cannot quite identify because they pass by her too slowly to name and too quickly to study. She simply descends with a slow, spiraling gentleness, her skirt belling out around her, her hair lifting softly as if she were underwater. The light in the rabbit hole is warm and golden and sourceless, coming from everywhere and nowhere, the way light is in dreams. She has passed the jar labeled orange marmalade 4 times, and she has long since stopped trying to keep count. Her eyes are heavy, not afraid, heavy, rest heavy, the kind of heavy that comes from a long and interesting day, from being very awake for a long time, and now, finally, allowing the wakefulness to drain away the way water drains from a bath, slowly. The shelves scroll past in the warm, golden light. The jars catch the light and hold it in their curved glass sides, amber and green, and that one impossibly blue. She blinks again. Her fingers curl slightly at her sides, the way hands curl in sleep. The fall becomes shallower. The warm light thickens. Somewhere below her, very far below, or possibly very close. It is impossible to tell in a rabbit hole. There is the faint sound of very distant music, not fast music, not the kind of music that pulls you forward, the kind that simply holds the air around it, the way fabric holds warmth, gently, without grip, making the space around it slightly softer than it would otherwise be. It is one note, repeated slowly, repetition, long enough that you begin to forget. A note enough that you begin, and then, and you did not, we not, ko-why, we not I, we not we you, so Far from the rabbit hole, across a distance that can only be measured in the kind of miles that belong to stories, a road of yellow brick crosses a field. The field is very flat, and the sky above it is very wide, and the yellow bricks of the road are worn smooth by a great many feet over a great many years. Their original sharp edges long since rounded to gentle curves, each brick fitted against the next with the practiced closeness of old neighbors. The road does not go anywhere fast. That is the point of the road. It goes where it goes, at the pace that it goes. And if you walk it slowly enough, you begin to realize the walking is the destination, that there was no arrival planned, only the slow and steady placing of one foot after the other on warm, yellow stone. Dorothy is not on the road tonight. She is somewhere beyond the frame of this story, somewhere safe and somewhere home. But her footprints are on the road, or they were, before the slow rains of all the years since smoothed them away. Something of her presence remains in the road itself. In the particular way, the bricks are worn in the middle rather than the edges, the mark of someone who walked with intention, who looked where they were going without rushing to arrive. The field on either side of the road is very still. The poppies that grow there are closed now, their petals folded inward with such perfect precision that they look like small dark red fists, sleeping. Above the poppy field, the sky is extraordinary. It is not one color. It is every color that the sky becomes in the last long minutes before full dark blue that is almost gray. Gray that is almost violet. Violet that is almost black, and at the very bottom, just above the flat line of the field, a strip of a color that has no name. Not orange, not gold. Something that exists only in this exact interval between day and night, for this exact number of minutes, and then it is gone until tomorrow. You cannot plan to see it. The poppies sleep. The road waits. The nameless color at the edge of the sky holds itself for one long, beautiful moment, and then begins very slowly to deepen, not to disappear, never quite to disappear, but to become something less itself and more the dark. The way the day does not end, but simply becomes the night. The way a long exhale simply becomes the next inhale. If you do not try to stop it in between. Back in the garden, the first garden, the old walled rose garden with the crumbly brick and the heavy key on its hook, the rabbit is still there. He has not moved. He is warm and very still, and his bright eyes have grown soft at the edges, the way eyes do when sleep is very near. The light is almost gone now. The roses are pale shadows of themselves, their petals folded and their scent grown faint and dry and very sweet. The last sweetness of the day held close. The moss between the bricks is still there, still soft, still soft, still slowly, slowly growing in the way moss grows, immeasurably, almost imperceptibly, a millimeter at a time, over years, faithful and absolutely certain. The boy in the narrow bed with the white quilt and the velveteen rabbit held close has not moved either. His hand is still open on the pillow. His hair is still slightly damp. His breath is so slow and so even now that it is barely distinguishable from stillness. The way very calm water is barely distinguishable from a mirror. The candle has burned lower. The flame is the same, steady, small, warm, but the wax is shorter now, and the circle of light it makes is slightly more intimate, pulling everything in the room just a little bit warmer, just a little bit warmer, just a little bit more still. The rabbit, held in the loose circle of the boy's arm, is warm, too. Warm with the warmth that comes from being held, and from the warmth of the room, and from something else, something harder to name. Something that has to do with being known and needed and found again after being lost and held again. The velvet of his remaining good ear is very soft against the boy's cheek. It is the softest thing in the room. It is possibly the softest thing in the world. Not the softness of something new, but the softness of something that has been loved thin, worn to the very essence of itself, past all the surface and into the actual, irreducible softness underneath. The duckling on the cold stream has drifted now to a quieter part of the water, where the current is so slow it is almost not a current at all. And the reeds on the bank lean over the water in long, gentle curves, almost meeting in the middle, making a low green roof over the still surface. He has pulled his feet up under him and settled his chin onto the water, and his eyes are nearly closed. The stars are out now, many of them more than earlier, more than seemed possible, and they are reflected in the still part of the stream in long, wobbling threads of light that barely move, barely ripple, barely breathe. He does not know, not yet, what the morning will show him. He does not know about the wider water and the different birds and the moment that is coming, still months away, still impossibly distant in the slow count of a duckling's life, when he will see his own reflection clearly for the first time and understand what he has always been. That moment belongs to another day. Tonight, he is only this, floating, still unknown even to himself, suspended between what he was and what he will be, resting in the in-between with the patient grace of things that are becoming. Alice has stopped falling. She did not notice the moment she stopped, which is the best way to stop falling, so gradually, so gently, that the transition from falling to resting is seamless as a breath. She is lying in a place that is soft and faintly luminous and shaped somehow exactly right for her. The way beds are when you have slept in them long enough and they know you. The shelves and jars are gone. The warm golden light remains, lower now and softer, more amber than gold, spreading across the floor and walls the way end of afternoon, covering everything equal warmth. Her eyes are closed. The robin in the secret garden has tucked his head under his wing. The red of his chest is hidden now, and he is only a small dark shape against the dark branches, indistinguishable from the buds that will open in spring, indistinguishable from the night itself. He breathes his tiny, rapid robin breath, each breath much faster than a human breath, much faster than yours, but so small and so regular that the effect is the same. A rhythm so steady it becomes the background to everything else, like the rhythm of a sleeping heart. The green shoots at the base of the old canes are pushing up even now in the dark. They do not know it is dark. They do not know it is cold. They only know the direction they are going, up and up and up, and toward the light that they know is there, even though they have never seen it. A knowledge so old it lives in the cells themselves, in the green and growing heart of the thing. They push up a fraction of a millimeter in the time it takes to take one breath, and then another fraction. All of the gardens are quiet now. All of the roads, all of the streams and the rabbit holes and the narrow, warm rooms with their low ceilings and steady candle flames. Everything that was ever lost in these old stories has been found, and everything that was ever cold has been warmed, and everything that was ever afraid has been held. And everyone who has been awake for as long as they could stand to be awake has finally, gently, without any drama and without any effort, let the night take them. You are part of this now. You always were. The gardens and the streams and the warm, small rooms and the wide, flat fields with their sleeping poppies, they were never somewhere else. They were always the shape of the place behind your eyes where rest lives. Every breath you take is breathing in garden air, cool and rose-scented and old. Every slow release is the stream, running its continuous, sourceless sound over round, pale stones. You are held like the rabbit, warm and known and carried through the dark. There is nothing left to do. The light is nearly gone, the last thin line of nameless color at the very edge of the horizon where the sky meets the field has finally deepened into the rest of the dark, and the dark is complete and soft and full of stars and the reflected stars. On still water and the breathing of small birds and sleeping children and tired ducks and girls who stopped falling long ago and are resting now in something deep and gold and good. The garden will be there tomorrow. The road will be there. The stream will run through the morning without any help from you. And the shoots will push upward another impossible fraction, and the robin will unfold his red chest to the new sun, and everything that needs to grow will grow. And tomorrow is very far away, measured in sleep, measured in a long, slow count of breaths between now and the light. Count them if you want to, or do not count. The next breath is coming either way, slow and cool and easy, and the one after that, and the one after that. Each one a small door closing softly. Each one a step further down the warm corridor and lower, and the sounds grow softer and softer, and the only thing left is the feeling of being known, of being known, of being home in the oldest sense of the word. Home the way a garden is home, the way the stream is home, town. Rest now, the stories are sleeping. The door in the old brick wall is sealed with ivy and warmth, and inside, everything that needed to find its place tonight has found it, curled and warm and deeply, perfectly still.